Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that sounds almost like science fiction, but is very much happening in 2026. An AI Vision Quest retreat in the Finnish wilderness. We're talking about transforming your leadership and building AI agents while standing under the midnight sun in Lapland. Sam, when you first heard about this concept, what was your reaction?
Honestly, my first thought was skepticism. Isn't this just corporate wellness with a tech veneer? But then I dug into the research, and it's actually compelling. The University of Turku study showing 47% improvement in cognitive performance for complex problem-solving in nature-rich environments isn't trivial. When you're designing enterprise AI systems, you need that clarity.
That's the real insight here, isn't it? This isn't about taking a vacation and hopefully solving problems. It's neuroscience-backed. The boreal forest environment actually enhances your ability to tackle complex AI governance questions. And the stats you're referencing show there's a real crisis out there.
Exactly. McKinsey data shows 72% of enterprise leaders say AI impacts their strategic outcomes, but only 31% feel confident executing it ethically. That's a massive gap, and it's costing organizations real money. Forrester found 68% have AI strategies, but only 19% achieve measurable ROI within 18 months. The problem is, leaders can't actually build or think like architects.
So AetherTravel's approach is radical in its simplicity. You don't just attend seminars about AI agents, you actually build one during those 7 days. Walk us through how that works structurally. What happens when someone arrives?
The first thing that distinguishes this is the personal AI mentor assignment. You arrive at Taiga School Eco Hotel, and before any lectures, you're paired with an enterprise AI expert who stays with you for 90 days post-program. That's the connective tissue between what you learn in nature and what you actually implement back at the office. Most retreats end on day 7. This one is actually day 1 of implementation.
I like that. You're not leaving the wilderness with inspiration and then wondering how to apply it. You've got someone in your corner who understands your specific organizational challenges. What specifically do participants learn in those early days?
Days 1 and 2 are about AI baseline assessment. Your mentor helps you articulate exactly where your governance gaps are. Not vague ideas, but precise problems. Where does your organization struggle with agentic AI? What risks does the EU AI Act create for your sector? This clarity is essential because vague problems produce vague solutions, and vague AI implementations create legal and ethical nightmares.
Then days 3 and 4 shift to hands-on building. That's when you actually construct an AI agent specific to your organization's needs. Sam, this is where it gets really interesting. You're not using a template or working on hypothetical scenarios.
Right. You're working with EtherLink.ai's development team to define agent autonomy boundaries. How much decision-making authority should your AI actually hold? Then you develop what they call the golden prompt stack, which is essentially the framework that guides your agent's behavior consistently. You're implementing safety guardrails that ensure EU AI Act compliance before it ever touches production data.
That's the difference between a retreat that sounds good and one that delivers actual operational value. You're not leaving with a whiteboard diagram. You're leaving with a functioning prototype and 90 days of mentorship to scale it. But I'm curious about the wilderness element. Is the Finnish Lapland setting just atmospheric, or is it functionally important?
It's functionally critical, and here's why. The 24-hour daylight of the midnight sun eliminates circadian disruption. Your sleep patterns stay stable, which means sustained cognitive performance. Meanwhile, the boreal forest's biophilic elements reduce overall cognitive load. Your brain isn't stressed by artificial environments, so it can allocate maximum processing power to enterprise transformation problems. You're literally thinking clearer about EU AI Act compliance while standing on the shores of Kitkajärvi Lake.
That's fascinating because it flips the script on what we think retreat work looks like. It's not relaxation. It's intense, focused problem-solving in an environment that makes you neurologically sharper. What about the practical business outcome? What do participants actually take home in that 90-day post-program period?
They're supposed to leave with a personalized 90-day AI adoption strategy. That's where the real transformation happens. You've built a prototype, you've thought through governance and safety, and now your mentor helps you navigate the bureaucratic and cultural challenges of actually deploying it across your organization. It's not theoretical, it's, here's how you get your CFO to approve this, and here's how you train your teams on this specific agent.
That addresses the execution gap we talked about at the beginning. A lot of organizations have AI strategies, but they can't bridge the gap between strategy and actually delivering ROI. This model assumes that gap exists because leaders lack hands-on understanding of what they're actually building. Is that fair?
Completely fair. When a CEO or CTO has personally built an AI agent, debugged it, thought through its autonomy boundaries, and wrestled with prompt engineering, they understand it in a way no PowerPoint can teach. They stop asking vague questions like, how do we do AI? And start asking precise questions like, how do we ensure this agent doesn't make decisions that violate EU AI Act Article 15? That's the shift in thinking the program creates.
Let's talk about who this is actually for. Is this a program for AI engineers, or can any executive benefit? Because I'm imagining a CFO or a legal executive might approach this differently than a CTO.
That's smart segmentation. The program says it's for executives and AI professionals, so it's explicitly designed for that diversity. A CFO needs to understand ROI timelines and budget allocation for AI projects. A legal executive needs to understand compliance implications. A CTO needs to understand architecture. The program presumably structures mentorship around those different lenses. Your personal mentor is helping you translate technical concepts into your specific domain's concerns.
So it's not one-size-fits-all learning, it's domain-specific translation. That makes sense given the personalized mentor model. Now, I want to push on something. Is there a risk that a 7-day retreat, no matter how immersive, can't really solve the massive organizational challenges around AI adoption? Isn't this just expensive?
That's the right skeptical question. A 7-day retreat alone wouldn't solve those challenges. But this isn't a 7-day program. It's 7 days plus 90 days of structured mentorship. More importantly, the outcome isn't solving the whole transformation. It's giving leadership the clarity and confidence to lead it. The Forrester data showed only 19% of organizations achieve measurable ROI within 18 months. This program is betting that if your leadership actually understands what they're building, that percentage improves dramatically.
So the real value isn't the retreat itself, it's the shift in leadership thinking, combined with a prototype they can take back and the ongoing support to scale it. That's actually a pretty compelling business case. What's the biggest risk someone should consider before signing up?
Honestly, the biggest risk is showing up without honest organizational readiness. If your company isn't actually willing to implement AI transformation in the 90 days post-program, you're paying for a retreat. But if you arrive with executive sponsors who are committed to moving forward, if your organization has identified specific AI implementation opportunities, and if you're prepared to challenge your own assumptions about AI governance, then the risk is actually manageable. You're walking away with concrete skills and an implementation roadmap.
That's the key insight. This works for organizations that are serious about transformation, not just curious about it. Sam, final thought. Why do you think this approach is gaining traction now in 2026? Why not 10 years ago?
3 reasons. First, the EU AI Act is now regulatory reality. Compliance isn't optional, so leaders can't stay vague. Second, agentic AI is mature enough that building a functional prototype in 7 days is actually feasible. And third, we've got research proving that nature-based learning works. A decade ago, this would have been dismissed as woo-woo. Now it's backed by neuroscience and the business case is clear.
That's a perfect wrap. If you're sitting in a leadership position grappling with enterprise AI transformation, struggling with that gap between ambition and execution, this retreat seems designed precisely for you. For the full details, including the complete program structure, mentor profiles, and how to apply, head over to etherlink.ai and find the full article. Thanks for joining us on EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and Sam, always a pleasure diving deep with you.
Thanks, Alex. And if you do book a retreat in Finnish Lapland to build your first AI agent, you'll have to tell us how it goes. Until next time, keep transforming.